All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Welcome to the ASAP College Breakdown Show, the premier college pregame show on the ASAP Network. Here we are today. We're talking about going to break down some college football. Hear from you for today's game. Today it's supposed to be a 3-hour show. I'm only going to be able to do a 2-hour show. I have an important family engagement. Family engagements that I have to attend to today around 11 o'clock. So I'm going to bring you up to 11 o'clock hour. Right now it's 9:04. We're going to break down some games here today. We're going to go through the top 25. If you look here down at the bottom on the tickler here, you see all the sports pages that you can get us live at right now on the ASAP Network here, and we are also streaming live on our platform on the Fox D Network. So we got big things here to plan out for the day. Periodically, you will see the tickler here on the bottom will be changing periodically, and we're gonna go here, and you can also catch out the top 25 tickler to the top 25 tickler going here. Also for these are the current rankings of the college football season. We're live, and we're going to break down some college football things here. Also, let it run through the top 25, and then we're going to go down. I also have last night's scores will be down on the tickler, so that will be changing periodically. Just keep on viewing the tickler and staying with us on the sports show. We're going to break down some good college football games today. We got the top, we got a few top games here. I want to go over my top 10 games of the week for this week.
For the regular season.
For the week here, sorry, my phone's going off here. Have it on silent. Yep. All right. So let me go ahead and fix. Yeah, that's okay. Sorry about that. But we're going to break down some college football games for today for this network here. So the college football game breakdown today will be, and then we're going to go here. As soon as the top 25 runs out, we'll go through the Friday night score. I'll bring that up on the tickler. You can view the Friday night score for the final college football games that were played Friday night. So you have Friday night football on college level. You got Friday night football in high school. You got Friday night football on college level here. So, and that's your scores from last night's game. Kansas lost 22-49. Number 17 Coastal Carolina. North Carolina AT&T 17. Duke 45. UTEP 13. Boise State 54. North Dakota 24. It was playing at Utah State 48. So that's your games from last night. That was a recap from last night's game. Let's break down today's games that are going to come up here today. I went through the schedule. We have about 71 games today. I went through and I pulled out about the top 10. The top 10 games I think is going to be good games to go. We'll break those down. If we have more time, I'll bring more games down. But we're going to go through here. We have over 71 games here today. It's a lot of games on the first week. For second week of the college football season, we're on the second week. Hard to believe that we're already 2 weeks. The second game of the season here is coming upon us on this game, and we got a lot of breakdowns, a lot of key games, key matchups. I think it's going to be pretty good for this game today. And we're going to go ahead and start off our breakdown with the Virginia Cavaliers taking on the Illinois. Illinois is going to play in Scott Stadium, and this will be live in Charlottesville, Virginia. This game will be carried on the ACC network, and it's at 11 Game time is at 11 Eastern time. That's kind of strange for a game to be starting right at 11 Eastern time. So the video starts right at 11 Eastern time. Today is a special day. I want to give some remembrance here. 9/11 happened. This is the 20th, I think, anniversary of the 9/11 attack on the U.S. and the New York Trade Center. I'd like to give a moment of silence to all the first responders, their families who lost loved ones in their World Trade Centers too, and all the military members that fight in the Afghan and Iraq war that lost their lives. I want to pray for their families too, and a moment of silence. So I'm gonna give it a moment of silence here. Please bear with us. Thank you. So we're gonna break down this first game here. This first game will be the Illinois. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna show you a graphic here. I'm gonna add it to the stream here. This is the breakdown of the Big Ten versus the ACC matchup, Illinois versus Virginia. We have Virginia. If you look at the tail of the tapes, I won't read it to you. You can see it right here. Illinois is 1-1 this season. The last game they played was against UTSA 37. Illinois lost 30-37. They were without their starting quarterback. You can look at the tail of the tapes, and Virginia won their first game. They're 1-0 in the ACC, and they took on William & Mary. They blanked them 43-0 in that contest. So I think this game is going to be a very interesting game, a very tell-verse game for Virginia. And can Illinois get back on the winning ways? Like I said, Brett Bielema, he showed he's undefeated in his he's undefeated in first games played, but then after that he falls off a little bit. So the interesting thing, can he get Illinois back on the winning track? And he's got to play against a Virginia team in the ACC that is, coming along pretty good this season. Let's see here. Can the pass game continue to be okay for Illinois? We know Brandon Peters, who started against Nebraska, he got injured in that game, and Arthur Siskowski came in. He threw for 266 yards, and they won that. They won 37-30, and they lost last week 37-30 against a UTC 2SA, a division FCS game. So can they bounce back in Illinois? Can Brett Bielema get his winning ways back? What they had against Nebraska. If you look at what we're looking here for Virginia, Virginia style defense, they're only giving up 89 yards passing in one game, 94 yards rushing. They're only giving up 183 against the defense. But you look into two games examples we have for Illinois. Illinois is average. They're giving up 444.5 yards per game. They're giving up 256 passing yards. They're giving up 188.5 in the yards per game. They're giving up 29.5 per game. Virginia defense has not yielded a score yet, but they played William & Mary, an FCS bowl team. Can they get back into their tracks of their winning ways here? So that's going to be the next issue. That's going to be the next thing. Can Illinois score on Virginia Cavaliers defense? That's going to be a big break. A big thing that you want to talk about here in this game is the Virginia Cavaliers defense. Are they for real? That's going to be the key here for Virginia too. Is their defense for real? Or are they playing with fool's gold by playing William & Mary that first game, and now they're getting and moving up to a big level Power 5 conference team in Virginia? That's going to be the issue here for Virginia. Can they, play on that elite field, that elite Power 5 conference, even though they're playing that lower tier of the Big Ten in Illinois? But the Illinois has got two game examples on. They got two games on now over one game over Virginia. So that's going to be a key, because Illinois did play a Power 5 conference team, a lower tier Power 5 conference team in the pack from the in the Big Ten. So I mean, that's got to be they played a conference game now. They played outside. They lost to a FCS bowl team in UTSA. So that's going to be the question here for Illinois and against Virginia. Can they both? Or is Virginia going to start giving up scoring here in the defense? And how that defense is going to react when they give up that initial score? Because I think Illinois can score in Virginia, and I think that's what's going to be the key here in this take is can Illinois score enough points, and how is Virginia's defense going to react when they give up that first touchdown or that first score? That's going to be the mindset of Virginia. Virginia mindset right now is coming in to shut you out because they proved it that they want to come in and shut you out right now. That's just the key. That's just the over thing here about it. So I mean, that's going to be the key. That's going to be the key. Of the situation here. Can Virginia keep Illinois out of the end zone, and how is that defense going to react when they give up that first score of Virginia? Because Virginia has not been scored on so far this year. It's only been one game, but they play a lower tier FCS team in William Mary. So that's going to be the key. How does Virginia let's look at the way that Virginia could beat Illinois there. Virginia was able to work whatever it wanted. Yeah, they did whatever they wanted to do against a 43-0 win over a match William Mary. But I mean, William Mary is not a matchup team. He couldn't match up with Virginia because of the manpower and the FCS and the recruiting and all that stuff. On the paper, Virginia was to win, and they won big, and that's how they won. They played it on the field here. Nebraska just didn't have any playmakers outside the quarterback, Aaron Martinez, and that's a good analogy right here. Too is when Illinois played Nebraska, they had Martinez was about the best player on that team, but he's more inconsistent quarterback for Illinois, for Nebraska, and when they played Illinois, that's what happened. They forced Martinez in a lot of turnovers, and that's the concept that Virginia wants to do to Arthur Sinkowski because he's going to be starting. Brandon Peters is not healthy enough to start. That's unreal because Peterson in that Nebraska game was outstanding until he got injured. And then Sinkowski came in and did very good, but he didn't do very good last week either. So can they survive? Can Sinkowski be that guy who now can turn it around? He's got that one initial start. He came in the middle of the Nebraska game, but that game was pretty much a little bit out of hand because Illinois was dominating on the defensive side. But he, in that UTSA game, he did too. He did all right, but that was his initial start, and he lost that initial start all the way from game one, all the way from first to fourth quarter. Can Arthur Sinkowski, now he has that one complete game underneath him, can he now provide that spark in the passing game and going forward against this tough Virginia team? And which I said, if you look at the stats here, right here, that, Virginia's only giving up 89 yards passing and 94 yards rushing. So they're only giving up 183 yards total offense in one game example. So that's going to be, that's going to be the key, how this situation is going to play out. So that's going to be the way we want to talk about it, and the way we want to kind of streamline this here is UTSA had a veteran skilled part through, and they all produced with a great balance and a strong day from offensive front point. So now that's going to be a key for Virginia. They have to be balanced offense. They are pretty much balanced offense. They have 545 yards total offense in one game against William & Mary. That's a subpar team, though, the subpar defense. Now you're jumping up into the Power 5 conference, and Illinois, who's got can match up pretty much with them with the defensive side because they have very skilled defense. And that's going to be the key there because, if you look at it, they're giving up 444 yards, 0.5 yards Illinois' defense is. They're giving up 512 yards passing and 377 yards total rushing, but they're only giving 256 per game, and they're giving up 188.5. So Virginia right now for it's giving up. They passed. Offense is 339 yards passing and 206 yards rushing. They're a balanced offense, but they were balanced because they played William Mary. You got to understand the concept where we're going here. Is they coming off a team, they played an undermatched team in William Mary. They come into a team playing a Power 5, who played a Power 5 team won, but then they lost to a UTSA. So that's going to be a thing. But you got to understand too, Illinois is coming in not playing with that starting quarterback in Brandon Peters. So if Skowski can get their offensive moving, then you're going to see Illinois can move the ball up in Virginia. But, and again, Virginia's defense has not been scored upon. So, out their first game. So how is their defense going to react? Because the mentality is if you haven't given up a score yet, you don't know how your team is going to react. How's your team going to fold? How your team is going to do this? How your team is going to prove this? If they get scored upon, can Virginia get that mindset of, hey, we gave up a score. That's nothing to it. Can we just get back to our dominant ways? And, that's going to be the initial break because they're going to play you're going to play a good defense, and they're going to try to prevent you not to score. That's the object of the game, not to let you score easily and and often in a college football game. So Virginia has an experienced quarterback in Brandon Armstrong coming off a light scrimmage. And offensive line was solid in a pass protection, got better as the game went on. The Cavaliers might outpush the alumni. That's one key fact, too, is if Virginia gets that running game going, then that's going to bring Armstrong into play because Armstrong he's a passer and a running quarterback. So you have to have your defense set up where you can match up with the running quarterback. And how you play that is your defensive ends. Once again, your defensive ends on Illinois is going to have to push up the field. And if you push up the field and you go too far up the field, they're going to think. So what you need to do is come up the field and then try to clash him at a breaking point. So he can't run underneath you and he cannot spin out of your tackle. You must get him on the ground if you can get to the quarterback today. And you got to force him to throw some turnovers. And that's going to be the key too. He hasn't been pressured this season. So how is he going to react to being pressured this season? And this Illinois team can get after the quarterback, and that's going to be a strong point for Illinois. If Illinois can get the quarterback on the ground and their dominance defense like they were against Nebraska, then Virginia's going to have a long day. But if they're not that predominant defense and that defense shows up to where they played UTSA, then it's going to be a pushover for Virginia again, and they're going to push Illinois up and down the field, and it's going to be a long game for the Illinois defense. What we're looking at right now, the prediction line is the 10-point favorite Virginia. So we're looking at some prediction models are looking Virginia 36, Illinois 27. So it's going to be a pretty much even battle game here. But what can Illinois do to win this ball game here? You got to look at it here. We talk about the way Virginia's got to be balanced. You got to push them. You got to push them up down the court, up down the field. All four quarters, trying to wear them down. That fourth quarter, you run the game and dominate the fourth quarter. The passing game will be okay without the starting quarterback Brandon Peters. The Rutgers transfer Arthur Sostowski steps in and pulls off the win over Nebraska. He threw for 266 yards and 3 scores in the 37-30 loss. And his final throw was completed, but it was just in the back of the end zone. So they had a chance to tie it. They didn't tie it. They threw the ball out of, the guy was already, when he caught it, he was out of bounds. So pretty much Illinois will play a physical style to try to shove you up and down and move you out of the way. The running game was an option. The passing protection should be fine. And former star quarterback protect Isaac Williams has emerged as a dangerous receiver. That's a good key too. If you get the receiver, and Isaac Williams is down becoming a star player, for Illinois. So that's going to be another thing. How is Virginia secondary is going to team up against Isaiah Williams? If they double team him, can the other receiver step up for Illinois? That's going to be a big key. Illinois has the parts, and it appears to just be getting them all together as Brett Billman is getting rolling. So you got to understand he's playing with Lovie Smith's guys, leftover guys. He's got some recruits that he recruited this year. when taking over the job. But we won't see his full effect until his second year when he gets a full team time out recruiting and getting his players and react and getting Lovie Smith's players out, so to fit his scheme. So that's going to be another issue too, because he's a new coach. We got the leftover players from last year, but he got to get his players in to recruit, because he's a running style, play action type mentality, because out of the Wisconsin system, when he was up there, when he did run, he ran, play action pass. That's what Brett Bielema's offense is all about, and that's what he's all about. He's got to get the running game going, passing attack second. Running game going, passing attack. If Virginia can stop and slow them down, and that pass protect, or that pass breakdown here, that's going to be another dilemma that Brett Bielema has got to make him be a passing team, and that's not his forte. His forte is get the running game start, and then you finish it off with some play action pass and get that passing game going. If Virginia can hold that running attack and make them one dimensional, then Virginia have the big advantage here to win this ball game. Illinois, we talk about the X factor is their quarterback Arthur Sinkowski against that Virginia defense. Can Virginia defense not give up that score? How good would Virginia defense be to a lower tier Power 5 team out of the Big Ten? So this is a Big Ten ACC matchup on the football field. This game today is in Charlottesville. It's at Scott Stadium. The game time is 11 Eastern time. 11 Eastern time. So I'm taking you up to college football game day today, even though I'm not going to do the full 3 hours today, because I have a family engagement that I have to tend to at around 11 o'clock. So I'll be with you all the way up to this game time starts here in Charlottesville. And this game is played at Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia. This game can be seen on the ACC network. This is September 11th game. So that's this matchup right here for that game. Let's go to our next matchup that I want to cover here today, and that would be the VMI Kent State game. That's what I want. That's what I want to do here today. The VMI Kent State game. I want to get everybody, up to some speed here. Even though we got some big games here and we got big time theme, I like to carry you into the smaller matchups and the big matchups, in these game days. So I picked some out. I got 10 games I'm going to go over, and this is one of the VMI and Kent State kind of games I want to talk about now. It's smaller schools, not a very big attractive game for everybody, to be very attractive for you. But we got to give other college teams some credit here too, and that's what I want to talk about here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to break down this game here. Like I said, the VMI is coming in at 1-0. They beat Davidson Wildcats 45-24. Kent State's coming in number 6, lost to number 6 Texas A&M at the time, number 5 ranked team now, in our latest poll. You can see it going down on the tickler. If you look at the tail of the tapes here, you can look at the matchups. Their offensive production is pretty much similar, but one key thing is you playing a Kent State team. The Kent State likes to run the football. They like to pound you. They like to go with the play action pass. You can look at the breakdown here after one game. You see the rushing attack is 226 yards rushing at 110. They put 266 yards on the number 5 ranked team in the nation at number 6 at the time, Texas A&M, and they put up 10 points. The passing attack is subpar. So they got the running game going. They couldn't get the passing attack. They got 110 yards out of the passing attack. But look at the defense here. VMI's defense is only giving up 336 yards per game to 595 yards to Kent State. The passing attack.
Sorry, I'm having.
The passing attack. You gotta look at the passing attack here. Look at the difference of the passing defense here. VMI is only giving up 76 yards passing. That's the Davidson Wildcats, not a big tier team, not a big power team. Kent State gave up 595, 292 yards passing. So if you look here at the big key here, if you look right here at the big key for VMI, they only have 171 yards passing, but they are balanced of 168 yards on rushing. But they did score 45 points, and they gave up 24 points. So that's going to be a key factor here too about the Kent State's and defense here. So let's take a look here at this matchup here. Kent State versus thing. What does VMI have to do to win this football game? The very key of there is the VMI offense is got to get hot early, and they got to close late. That's going to be the thing. The VMI offense got out hot early, and they closed late with a 45-24 win over Davidson. And now it brings the balanced attacks to keep up against a high-octane Golden Flash offense. The Cadets which is VMI, the Cadets, should be able to throw effectively. Seth Morgan is a solid, accurate veteran quarterback for the Cadets. The defense needs to come up with some big takeaways. Of course, all defense needs to come up with big takeaways in these games. If you come up with big takeaways, you come up with some big, you get some separation, you get short field advantage. And that's what VMI needs to do against Kent State. If the defense can do some turnovers, get some short fields, they get an accurate quarterback, and they get a lead, and they get that running game going for the Cadets, then this is going to be put pressure on Kent State here. This team that got the FCS spring playoff brings a good pressure from the defensive line, and the secondary came up with a big play early in last week. It's going to take a few turnovers to pull off this win for VMI. Like I said, you got to have them they got to be key turnovers against these Kent State. You get short field, you turn them turnovers into points, you get it. That's a successful victory for VMI for the Cadets. So that's what you got to look at here for that. Now let's flip flop it around. What does Kent State have to do to beat VMI? They don't need to get into a twist and what happened over in Texas A&M, one of the five best teams in the country. This is still one of the nation's most dangerous offense that managed to run 226 yards against the Aggies defense, averaging 5 yards per carry. That's going to be the key for them too. They got to get if they get the running game going and that play action pass and that offense gets stopped, you can't stop them. VMI can't stop them. Kent State is going to run all over and put some points up on this board and going to win this game easily. But if VMI can get some turnovers and keep themselves in the game, get some confidence, and close out late, they start hard. They started out hot. They finished that hot. So if they can get that concept going and they not have in some laps in the middle here, Kent State is going to be up against a good Cadet team here today. What the line has a hard time handling the defensive pressure. That won't be nearly as intense from VMI's line. See, in that game against Texas A&M, they blitzed them. And if VMI can't get to the quarterback, then the quarterback, Kent State, is going to have a field day here because he's not getting pressured. He's not getting forced into some turnovers. That's what happens when the quarterback, you got to get the quarterback frustrated. You got to get him into you got to break him down and put some pressure on him. Put pressure on the quarterback. You make him make some mistakes. That helps your defense out and helps your offense out get that short field position. Or you could sometimes the turnover could be a pick six, or lead you to 3 points in a field goal range, get your offense in a better position to kick a field goal if they can't get all the way into the end zone. But VMI is going to put touchdowns. VMI is going to put touchdowns against Kent State. If Kent State has their way pushing the line and getting that ball control and their play action pass, VMI is going to have a hard time stopping them. What's going to happen here? Kent State will hit a few field goals. That was a big deal for some late in the Texas A&M games. So they still got to hit some. Key is their special team is not an accurate field goal kicker. That's what happened in the Texas A&M game. They could have put up some more points than what they had if they made some field goals. VMI will be dangerous enough to keep pace for a while, but after being stuffed by the elite A&M defense. Kent State is about to break out and have a whole lot of fun in the up and down shootout. So, like I said, if Kent State gets their way, this game could be over. The point spread we're looking at here is pretty much even, but some prediction model has out Kent State 38, VMI 30. So if you're looking at it, if you're looking at it this here, if you're looking at the rating, this is a 1.5 rating, must see game on the lower tier levels. If you like the lower tier levels, if you like seeing not all the Power Five conference teams, and you want to catch some good games, some of these lower tier games are going to be very good here for today. So, what game we're going to come up with next here? We're going to move right along in our college breakdown game here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the half hour commercial break from our TV network and Fox D network. So we'll be right back after these commercials.
This is the Fox D streaming network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back here to the ASAP College Breakdown Show. This was formerly known the Ray Sports Show. We went on ahead and I made some housekeeping changes to the name of this show and called it the ASAP College Breakdown. The suggestion of the name was by one of our analysts and Jay Ness. Thank you for the idea. I was going to call it the ASAP College Post Game Show, but I think it's a very unique name here. I think he gave it out a very good name. I'll give a shout out to Jay Nesbitt. He's one of our analysts here. He came up with the actual breakdown part of the college sports. I came up with the ASAP College. He came up with the breakdown. So that's a very good point. We'll hit on that one. But also, you can catch the Ray Sports Show. We're going to be starting up on the Ray Sports Show starting this Monday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m., 3 p.m. Central, and 1 p.m. Pacific Time. This will take you all the way we'll break down some of the Monday night for this show coming up on Monday night. We can break down the Monday night football game. It's going to be tailored to a breakdown segment of the pregame show type deal, but it's not actually going to be a pregame show. It's going to be talking about sports. We're going to be talking about baseball. We're going to be talking about NBA news. We're going to talk some college football news. We're going to talk some Monday Night Football breakdown of the Monday Night Football game, and leading you all into her in the huddle that will be coming on at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Central Time. So the Ray Sports Show will be a Monday through Friday show at the same time at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. So stay with that. Got some more good contents coming up here on the All Sports, All Play Network and the Fox D network too for our TV platform. So let's keep on going down here. We're going to keep breaking down. I'm going to go here and look at the next game. It's going to be the Western Kentucky and Army game. I'm going to go here and we'll bring up the stats for this game here. If you're looking at the stats right now with me, you could see this is a sorry for the little bit of graphic difficulties here on the Army side, but Both teams are coming in at 1-0. Both teams are 1-0. Western Kentucky, if you look at the breakdown here, their total yards on offense is 587 yards to 356 yards for Army. This is the tail of the tape. Passing is 478. We know Army doesn't really pass that much. They have 98 yards passing. But the rushing, if you look at the difference here of 109 to 258, West Kentucky puts points on the board. Army puts 43 points on the board last week. If you look at the breakdown of the defense real quick, 396 given up by Western Kentucky, 177 only by Army. And if you break them down a little bit more, if you look at the passings, 195 to 129, rushing's 201 to 48. Western Kentucky's defense only giving up 21 points. Army's defense only giving up 10. The last game was played. UT Martin 21, Western Kentucky 59. They won that game. Army 43, Georgia State 10. So that was contrast of that game. So if you look at these contrasts here, if you look at the tendencies, one team likes to pass the ball, the other team likes to rush the ball. So which offense is going to reflect this game here today? Let's go ahead and break down some of these games here for you right now. So if you look at last night's scores are flashing down at the bottom of the tickler. This game today will be played at 11:30 Eastern time. 11:30 Eastern time. I'm carrying you all the way up to game time. At 11 o'clock is the Virginia game. This game is at 11:30 Eastern time. 11:30 Eastern time, according to the game venues here. This game is played at West Point in New York, up in the Army Stadium, a very luxury stadium, very nice stadium up there. It's built into the ground. It's a very high mountain area up in New York. It's built into the ground. The stadium sits right in the middle in the mountain area. It sits a little bit down in the ground. It's a very good venue to go watch college football for the West Point. Been there a couple times. New York, the game is played on CBS Sports Network. You can catch this game on the CBS Sports Network. Let's take a look here at this. At Army's coming in 1-0. Western Kentucky University's coming in 1-0. What's going to happen here? The passing game was fantastic. It was great against UT Martin. It was FCS world. You know, this was exactly how it was supposed to work. That's what they are saying. That's what they're seeing. This Western Kentucky outmatched UT Martin, and that showed it on the paper. It showed it on the football field. Whatever you see on the paper, it did reflect what happened on the football field. And that was going to, in this game, quarterback badly zipped from the high-powered Houston Baptist offense of 2020, along with some of the receivers' friends and the offensive coordinator, at least to start even touchdown passes, 474 yards and a 59-21, and is a far cry from where the Western Kentucky University offense was over the last few years. But can the Hilltoppers stop the run? At very least, they have the playmakers who can get behind the line, but this is more about setting the tone with Zap and the offense. So that's going to be they need to establish the offense first in this game. If they can establish their offense a key against Army and make Army have to come back from down. Army's not built to come back. Army's built to be in the lead and grind you and wear you down. So that's when they get their big scores, in that third and fourth quarter, because you're starting to wear down because the running game of the option game is wearing you down. And that's what Army wants you to do. But the Hilltoppers need to combat that with the advantage on the offensive line and force them to be one-dimensional and passing the ball. And if you do that, that's going to be a big key. And that's how you deal with the Army. Army, we see the flashes of offense with the option, the triple option, the more military academy style play like Navy, a little bit, add a little bit, sprinkle a little bit more play action pass into it, a little bit trickery plays on the offense. But you got to be disciplined. And that's with the Western Kentucky offense. Like I said, with the option, you got to be disciplined. Your defensive line cannot over pursue on one side. What you need to do with these option teams, you have to provide The defensive end needs to take the quarterback. Your linebacker needs to flow. You're out, whatever side they run into, that linebacker needs to flow quick and take the pitch guy. If you can take the quarterback and the pitch guy away, you're taking away their offense. But now the key to that, if they see your defensive end on the backside is over pursuing, it's try to hold, if they try to side that cutback in and you taking the hit. But if he sees that defensive end pursuing, guess what's going to happen? They're going to come out and they're going to do what you call a triple option reverse, where they pivot the quarterback out, and next thing you know, your back defensive ends all the way down, and now they got a free roam out onto the reverse side of it, and you have nobody taking the quarterback, you have nobody taking the pitch guy, and then what Scott is going to do is they're going to run the ball. The quarterback will keep the ball until that safety or corner come up, and the corner takes the wrong person, pitch it right back out. Boom, he's got another 25, 30 more yards after the part of the game, about 10 yards before they get to the corner, before the corner realizes what's going on. So what you need to do is tell your defensive end on the backside and your linebacker on the backside, do not flow quickly. Diagnose the play. Make sure they're not going to reverse back out on you, where you can take the opposite side and you got your outside line, your inside, what you call your outside linebacker, flowing back on the back end, flowing dead at and getting that play. If they can set that tone, and Army's going to have a long day, because what's going to happen is your two defensive tackles got to pinch in, because they got to take that run. They got to take that fullback. You got to watch the quarterback, because half the time they put the ball in the fullback belly. And if you see that defensive end is not crashing in, they're going to give it that fullback, boom, straight up the middle. But that's when your two guards got to pinch in and pinch that hole up. So if you take your two guards, your two defensive tack and those guards inside and pinch them right at the center, boom, you're taking away the dive play. That's going to mean the quarterback's going to pull it back. But guess what? Your defensive ends is already set up to take the quarterback, and your linebackers is set up to take your pitch guy. So if you can get your defensive tackle has to pinch in. And the key thing is, the defensive linemen don't like the knees to be taken out and blah, blah, blah. But when they do these cut blocks, that's what the option team does. They like to get these cut blocks, and if you can't get the lower leverage on them, they get these cut blocks on your defensive tackle. That pitch guy in the middle, it's gonna be all day. It's gonna be a run all day long, up the middle. Because then your defensive end is gonna start crashing onto this thing. Boom, they can pull it out. Boom, they pass the defensive end, and then you're leaving your linebacker on an island with your corners and your safeties, and you can get about 10, 15, 20 more yards down the field. And that's going to be a big break for the Army. So that's the key on when you play the Army here on this thing. If Western Kentucky can get the defense to stop the flow, now it's going to be the good question. What will Army have to do to win this football game? First, you're going to have the Army's offense that always runs the ball well, but the difference between controlling the game and what the attack did to Georgia State in a 43-10 win. The Black Knights, 258 yards and 4 touchdowns, but they averaged under 4 yards per carry. That was actually a positive in a slow and steady way. They had the ball for over 42 minutes. And that's the key. Army cannot have the ball over 42 minutes of a football game. If the Army can possess that football over 42 minutes of the game, 9 times out of 10, Army will beat you down and make you tired by the time the fourth quarter comes around, and boom, they're going to blast you with the running attack, and you're not going to be able to stop it, because your linemen are going to be – they're going to test your strength on your linemen. They're going to check your depth. That's going to be the key. You got to rotate players in. They're going to key on your depth of your front seven, and that's what the Army does. They wear you down, and if the Army can wear you down, and if you don't get a big lead on Army, and they have to come back, that's a win for you. But if you don't get a big lead and Army can play with you simultaneously, that's a big win for Army, and the Army could turn this around in the fourth quarter. That's got to be the key here for what you got to understand on the situation. When you play an option team like Army, like Navy, like VMI, you got to, and the Citadel, you got to watch how you play on the defense. You got to play a slow-paced type defense, not aggressive defense. You cannot play aggressive defense against an option team. That's not the way it's built. The only way you can build aggression is against an option team is stop the run and force them to be a passing team. Then you can tee off on them. because they got no running game. You stop in the running game. They have no way to go with that play action pass. You force them into a passing thing, and that's not what the Army is set up for. Army is not set up to come back from a big deficit of a lead. A 7-point lead, the Army is built for. But if you're talking about 14, 21, 28-point lead, Army is not built for that. And that's going to be the key today for the Hilltoppers. Can the Hilltoppers stop the Knights' offense, get a big lead, and then you build aggression? You cannot play aggressive up front. First, you got to play a passive up front. What I mean by passive is your defensive ends has to be assignment football. Your nose tackle got to be assignment football. Your corners got to play assignment football. Your safeties, it's got to be all assignment football today on that defensive side for the Hilltoppers. If it's not, Army's going to have a big blast. So, prediction, Army's up favor, up by 6, but I think it's going to be a close game today. I think it's going to be 24-21. I think Army might have an advantage because of the running game. I don't think if the Hilltoppers can't do it. So I think the Hilltoppers will score 21 points, but I think Army wins by a field goal, 24-21 in this football game. So that's what we're looking at for the Army. That's what we're looking for, in today's game. So where are we going to go next? Where will we go next here in this thing here? So we have talked about Western Kentucky and Army. We have talked about Illinois and Virginia. We have talked about VMI and Kent State. So let me break these folders here. I make sure we don't keep we already talked about the Army. We already talked about Army. We already talked about Kent State and VMI. We talked about Illinois. So, who are we going to talk about next? What game do y'all want to talk about next? How about we go with the number 25 Auburn Tigers versus Alabama State game. Now, we'll break this down here with a little of the tail of the tape here. If you look here, these are the places you can go and comment on Facebook. We're on our YouTube channel. We're on Twitch. We're on the Fox D network. So there's a platform on Roku and soon to be on Amazon, soon to be on Apple TV. So the Fox D network, you can look on Roku for the Fox D network and you can bring it up there and watch it on the big screen, on your big television here. So we're going to leave that up for a little bit here on the banner. Let's move on into the Alabama State Hornets versus the Auburn Tigers. What can we see here on the? Let's bring up the tail of the tape here. Tail of the tape here. We see on this thing. We see the Hornets total yards 322. Auburn 612. Look at the disparity here. Almost doubled the Hornets' output. The Hornets are passing 186 yards in the passing to 297. Rushing 134. Auburn's 315 yards rushing. They only scored 14 points. The Hornets has to their 60 points. These are all one game tape. Both teams coming in 1-0. The defensive tail of the tape for the defense. The Hornets are giving up 202 to Auburn's 188. 45 yards passing. The Hornets only giving up to 191. Rushing yards 157. The defense breakdown for the Hornets to a -3 yards for the Tigers defense. Hornets defense only getting up 13, and the Auburn Tigers only getting up 10. This is a FCS versus a Power 5 SEC team. What is the tail of the tape going to look? That's the tail of the tape is going to look like for this one here. Let's go here. Let me bring me up on the screen. You can see me right here on your right side, my left side, if you're looking at it. If you're looking at me, looking at you. So what is this game going to be like? Yeah, I'm going to leave the tail of the tape a little bit here up. Auburn versus Alabama State. The broadcast is on. Game time is at 12 Eastern Time. The venue is at Jordan-Hare Stadium at Auburn, Alabama, on the SEC Network. That's where you can catch this game if you want to watch it live. If you have the SEC Network on your cable package deal. What can we say? How will Alabama State play this game? How will they try to win this game? The Hornets have experience from the FCS spring session going 3-3 or 2-3 with a forfeit, which is decent offense, enough of a defense to hold and make noise most games close. Now they're undefeated in 2021 with an overall win over the Golden Bears of Miles College. Auburn will be using this as a light scrimmage, but they'll be well focused on a trip to Penn State next week. Won't exactly be sweating this. Quarterback Ryan Nettles is a veteran who can at least hit a few passes in this contest here. How can Auburn win this game? Like I said, Auburn will get to use that backup as soon as possible. So they're not looking this game going to be even close. It should be even close because it's an SEC powerhouse team. Power 5 conference against a smaller team. If you look on paper, Auburn's outduels them big time on the paper. So a big time out on the paper. So that's got to be something that you got to think about here. Auburn looks great on paper against this team. Can they produce what looks on the paper on the field against this team? That's going to be the big question here. If you look here, some guy live ain't solidified, few possession, and get T.J. Finley in there for Bo Nix. Hit 20 out of 22 passes against the Zips. Everything works just fine in the first game under the new head coach, Brian Harsin, with over 600 yards of total offense and no points allowed by the defense until the fourth quarter. If you blink an eye here, this game is over. That's what some people are saying. I think this game is an overmatch. I think this game is going to be well in hand. I think this game could be a blowout. To my opinion, I don't think Alabama State can even score on Auburn's defense. I think this is going to be a blowout game. I think this is going to be another. I think they could drop another 60 points on this team. I think it's going to be 60-0. Auburn is favored by 49 points in this ball game. So if you want to bet on the over, you can, because I think Auburn's going to drop about 60 on this game here. So that's going to be the key of this contest here, of this game. So if you look at what we're talking about here on this Auburn game, if you looked at the tail of the tape, you see how dominant Auburn is on paper. Can Auburn be dominant on the field? We know we have to play the game on the field. We know they have to be that team on what's on the paper on that field. So if the dominant defense keeps attacking here, I think they do wonders. I think they pull out the big stop in this game. I think they dominate this game. So I think Auburn is going to go ahead and win 60-0. I don't think the Hornets will be able to score on this team. So that's a big take of a small school versus a big school. It's a giant. It's a David and Goliath situation. That was, one of the stories in the Bible that David slayed the giants. That's how this Alabama State Hornets has to do. They're going to be the David, and Auburn's going to be that giant. They have to try to slash, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think this is going to be the giant winning over this matchup here in that thing. So if you look at it that way, that's going to be a very tall and tellsome tape to deal with for that game. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more games to break down here. I'm only here till 11 o'clock. I usually be here till 12. I have a family engagement to go to. We are on the All Play All Sports Network and the Fox D Network. And this is the new ASAP College Breakdown, the premier college pregame show on TV. Thanks for joining us here today. So we're going to go ahead and break down one more football game, and then at the top of the hour, we'll do a commercial break for the Fox D Network. Get their little message out for our sponsors here, for our TV platform. Thanks for having us, and we'll go ahead and change it to their logo for a little bit here on this thing. And then let's go here, and I'm going to go ahead and break down the top 25. You see it, it's scrolling down there. That's the current top 25 team that was broken out. So you see it going across the bottom here of the ASAP College Breakdown pregame show here. So we're going to go here. We're going to move right on in to the Pittsburgh and Tennessee game. We're going to go ahead and break this game down for you here on the ASAP College Breakdown show here, coming to you from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock today, but usually the time is from 9 to 12. We lead all the way up to kickoff. We are kind of leading you up to kickoff till 11 o'clock kickoff of Virginia, Illinois, and at 11:30, the BMI and Kent State game. So we're going to go ahead and bring up the tail of the tapes for this ACC versus the SEC matchup. We're talking about the battles of the SEC power team, power conference against the ACC, and people say the ACC is weak. We only have Clemson. I think this year the ACC is going to be pretty much well balanced. I think SEC is going to be pretty much one-man show in Alabama. We don't know how good Georgia will be up against Alabama. We don't know how good Florida can match up against Alabama. We don't know how. The other thing, we know Alabama is a man-child. They're dominant. They showed it against the number 14th ranked Miami. So, the SEC is probably going to be a one-power team conference in Auburn, in Alabama. And, they always say the ACC is going to be a one-dominant team in Clemson, but we see how Clemson was this year. So I think the ACC is going to be pretty much balanced here out this season. I think from top to bottom, I think it could be one of the best conferences top to bottom. We don't know how good Clemson could really be. They played against a tough Georgia defense. But Georgia's offense wasn't that very good. They played against a tough Clemson defense. That's going to be the key setting tone. What offense of Clemson we will see the rest of the year. That's going to be the good question. That's going to be the focal points on teams. Can we beat their defense? Because Clemson does have a great defense, but can their offense score points? And that's going to be a big key going the rest of the way. But we're looking at Pitt out of the Coastal Division of the ACC going against SEC East in Tennessee. Both teams comes in 1-0. Tennessee is 1-0. If you look at the tail of the tape, the pretty much offense is pretty much 598 yards for Pitt to 471 yards. We're looking at the passing of 375 breakdown for Pittsburgh to 145. Rushing is 223 to break down to 326 for Tennessee. Pitt's got the edge in passing. Tennessee's got the edge in rushing. Pitt has scored 51 points. Tennessee's put up 35. If you look at the defensive numbers, pretty much close. 209 total yards for Pitt to 219 against Tennessee. For Tennessee, passes 167 yards for out of the breakdown of the 209 for Pitt. 187 breakdown of the 219 passing yards they're given up by Tennessee. Rushing yards 42 by Pitt's defense and given up by the Tennessee defense 32 yards, and both teams only giving up 7 and 6 points respectively. Pitt came off a victory against UMass 51-7. Tennessee come out the victory against Bowling Green 38-36. So we're going to come right back and we're going to hit the commercials here for Fox D Network. So stay with us.
is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the ASAP College Breakdown pregame show, premier pregame show on the internet and the network on the All Sports, All Play Network and the Fox D Network on our TV platform. We are coming to you live. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, in my studios here in Jacksonville. We're breaking down the Tennessee game. That's the tail of the tape right now. We just broke down for this game here. Let's keep on moving right along here in this pregame show and talk about the Tennessee Pitt game. This game is going to be at 12 Eastern time in Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tennessee gets another home game, the second straight home game. This game is going to be played on the ESPN network. I wish it was played on the All Sports All Play network here in the Fox D platform. It would be kind of awesome to have a game live on here and broadcast it. So, but that's coming in the future. Hopefully, in the next next year, 2 years, maybe. Hopefully sooner than that, we can get this network on the big stage here, compete with ESPN and stuff. That's our goal here on the All Sports All Play Network at the Fox D Network. All right, we're gonna look here. We're gonna look at the breakdown here today. The Pitts. How will Pitt win this game? Pitt's pass rush is still Pitt's pass rush. They are dominant on the defensive end. They got a good pass rushing game. The Panthers we're never going to have an issue against UMass. We knew that. The Minute Maid King score almost didn't score in the 51-7 Pitt win, but they did need to improve. They could crank up. Pitt needs to improve that they can crank up their defense and playmaking ability in the backfield after losing slew of key guys in 2020 with 5 sacks and allowed just 42 yards rushing. The Pitt defense from front did their job. Tennessee beat Bowling Green 38-6, but it wasn't as easy as it should have been. But the highlights all good, great. But Joe Milton only completed 11 of 23 passes with a little happening down the field outside of 2 plays. So if you look at that play issue here, how would they key that? How will Milton come back out and key on the drive? I mean, I think he's a good quarterback in what he showed against Bowling Green. First game jitters it could be, playing in 107,000 seat stadium and Neyland Stadium. Playing Rocky Top is kind of kind of hype now. He's got his game underneath. Can Milton become that quarterback that everybody thinks he can be, that he did at UCF, and can he now do what he's doing with Josh Heupel would continue their rolling wins from UCF days all the way up to now, under the new regime at Tennessee. So Pitt needs to keep Milton under control. Needs to wrap up that pass rush, play that dominant defense they played against UMass, but it's going to be a little bit difficult because they're playing a Power 5 team in SEC and the East Tennessee. Can Tennessee get back to that Tennessee winning ways back when they were with with Farmer and Peyton Manning was there and all the Tennessee Titan with Martin there? Can they get back to that? Can they get back to that Tennessee Vols team of the yesteryears? They're trying to get Bell back. They went under Butch, and then they went under Pruitt. Now they got Heupel in there. Can Heupel be that coach? Or is Heupel going to be that next Scott Frost type? Did great at UCF and not so great at a bigger school. So that's going to be the concept here for Tennessee. Can Tennessee get back to the Tennessee winning ways? And this is going to be a big stepping stone for Tennessee if they can beat the Pitt team. Pitt out of the ACC has known to beat much powerful teams like in Clemson. They beat Clemson back when they had Trevor Lawrence. Can that Pitt team be that dominant Pitt team and try to make some rash marks in the Coastal Division of the ACC. What would Tennessee have to do to combat that Pitt defense and actually win this ball game? Milton has to be more sharper, but he did run for 44 yards and 2 scores as a part of the ground game that rumbled for over 300 yards. So he was 44 out of that, combined of that 300 yards came out of the quarterback position. He did 2 scores, part of the ground game. Again, that was against Bowling Green, and he could average about 5 yards per carry running against that D. But it was a good opening show for the Josh Heupel era, just to get the program up and going again. But the Pitt's pass rush will bother Milton, but the secondary will take just enough chances to get burned at least twice in this ball game. Once again, the ball staff will take the pressure off its quarterback by running the football. Tennessee will try to get physical, and that's going to be the key for Tennessee. Can that front be physical enough to out physical Pitt's defense, which Pitt's defense is very physical and they are attacking defense. But like you said, the secondary of Pitt likes to take chances, and can they get them to take chances and then bite them on them and score a big time touchdown? And that's what Tennessee's got to do. They got to have big plays, touchdowns in this ball game, and to carry the game on effectively. If they can carry the game effectively on the running game, it keeps the Pitt's offense on the sideline and try to wear out that defense. If you can keep physical away on the front, that's how physical. If Tennessee's front is that physical now, with a running game on a Heupel, and then throw them passing attacks in there too, and a higher I team Tennessee, can Tennessee make mistakes on defense and burn them? They got to burn them big with touchdowns. That's going to be the key for Tennessee in this ball game here. What's going to happen here? What's much bigger game for Pitt than it is for Tennessee. The ACC desperately needs a win over a brand name team. Pitt needs to show it's going to be a player in that conference race by going on the road and coming with a good performance. Once again, they're not big. It doesn't scare them to go on the road, because they did go to Clemson before when they had Trevor Lawrence there and beat Clemson in Memorial Stadium down in Clemson, Death Valley. They call it Death Valley down there. So I mean, that's got to be uplifting there, knowing that their foes could go in there and beat a team in a big stadium. The Panthers have an average with quarterback Kenny Pickett, and that's a defensive front will be a problem, but the Vols will pull it off at home by controlling the clock, maintaining defense on the other side's big play for big play. So this should be a good game. It's a 3-point Pitt's 3.5 underdog. I think they're going to win 20. I think they're going to win 26-20, 23 by a late field goal. I think that's going to be a assignment there. This game, a must-see rating of 3. I think this is a must-see rating. I think this is going to be a must-see game here at 12 o'clock. It's going to be one of the potential games that I picked out of my top 10 out of the 71 games here to go over this in-depth look here. Today I'm taking you all the way up to 11 o'clock. The show normally goes to 12, but I have the family engagement. I just want to repeat, I have a family engagement that I cannot get out of, that I need to attend at 11 o'clock. So I need to get out of here at 11. So I'm sorry I couldn't get the extra hour in to get some more games previews here. But these are the games I like to talk about and go over, and it's going to be a big impact on today's football thing. I know most teams, like ESPN, probably going over Alabama right now on that pregame show. We're going over specific games that are going to be key eye match games here on today's out of the 71 games here. You're going to have a lot of blowouts. You're going to have a lot of close games. You're going to have a lot of impact games. And this is one of the impact games, the Tennessee ACC versus SEC matchup. That's one impact game, and that's going to be SEC's fans on the SEC. I've been in some groups here on the Facebook that said SEC is better than the ACC, but we're going to see today, because we have a lot of ACC versus SEC matchups today, and we're going to go over some of them here today on this show, on the ASO College Breakdown Show, on the All Sports All Play Network and the Fox D Network. So we just got finished breaking down the Tennessee game. We want to go ahead and I want to bring out the next game I want to break out here is an Appalachian State and Miami. I think this is going to be a good game here. It's going to be try to be a bad spot game by Miami. Number 22 ranked now. They were 14th. They got blasted by Alabama, and in season opener. I'm going to bring up the tail of the tapes here. In this live shot right here, the tail of the tapes. Appalachian State's 1-0 against. I'm sorry, it should be 0-1. Miami. That's graphics a little messed up here. So Appalachian State comes in and 1-0, beating East Carolina 33-19. Miami Lows was 44-13. They're 0-1. That should be on the other side. Sorry. Total yards 485 for Appalachian State to 266. Break down to 259 yards passing for Appalachian State and 178 yards out of Miami. Rushing yards 226 yards for Appalachian State. They were well balanced against East Carolina. 88 yards rushing by number 22 Miami, but they were playing against a stud team in Alabama. So these numbers are going to fluctuate. Not very showing the true percentage of what Miami is. They're not showing the true percentage of what Miami is, because they played against a stellar team in Alabama that just got overran by Alabama, like most teams will this year. And you're looking at Appalachian State, total defense 381 to 501. Once again, these defensive numbers are going to be screwed for Miami because they played against Alabama. Passing yards, Appalachian State gave up 295 to 354 for Miami. Rushing yards, 86 yards by the Appalachian defense, given up to 147 by Miami. Appalachian defense is giving up 19 points. Miami giving up 44. Like I said, Miami's numbers are screwed because they played against Alabama. It's not a true Miami team because that Miami team played Alabama didn't show up, but they will show up today because they better show up today because they're playing a team that's got rich history and upsetting big school teams like Michigan, North Carolina, all these upset these Power 5 conference teams. So Appalachian State is not worrying about going into Miami and playing the U because they had that rich history of defeating Power 5 teams at their home stadium. So what can we see here? What can we see from Appalachian State in this ball game here? I'm bringing myself back up on the screen here. How can Appalachian beat my number 22 ranked Miami going into the U, going into Miami, going into the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami? While everyone's into the Coastal Carolina thing and Louisiana is still getting love from the polls, Appalachian State might just be the best team in the Sun Belt. They're playing in the Sun Belt Conference. East Carolina is a dangerous offensive team with a whole lot of experienced weapons. It threw well against the Mountaineers last Saturday, but it didn't matter. Appalachian State won 33-19 because of an unstoppable offensive balance. The defense gave up just 9 points under the game was over. The Mountaineers were up 33-9 before East Carolina put a few late scores, and that roared with a huge day from the rushing attack and a solid day from former Clemson/Duke quarterback and Chase Bryce. Miami is coming off a beating from Alabama. Up next is Michigan State. This might not be a letdown game, but it doesn't bring the full fight. There's going to be a prop. That's going to be the key. Is Miami overlooking Appalachian State to get to that Michigan State Big Ten ACC matchup next week? So that's going to be the thing. If Miami overlooks Appalachian State is going to win this ball game. I don't care how you look. Miami needs to come in and be focused on Appalachian State. People might be laughing, but that laugh can turn into a worry of what happened. What happened in this ball game? I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Miami's defense has got to come and show that it can stop a balanced attack and make Appalachian State one-dimensional so their defensive ends on Miami can tee off on the quarterback. That's going to be the key. If Appalachian State gets that running game going like they did against East Carolina and get the passing game going, this is going to be double trouble for Miami, and this is going to be Miami's going to be downfall again here. Can Miami's defense step up to the task at hand on Appalachian State, or are they overlooking Appalachian State and getting to that Michigan State game, that ACC Big Ten game? Don't overlook Appalachian State because they're, like I said, in the rich history of Appalachian State, they have beaten the likes of North Carolina in a Power 5 situation and Kingman State. They have beaten Michigan in the big house. We know that. We've seen some plays over and over that ESPN has shown of that Appalachian State victory on that block, field goal that helped them win the game. So key moments, Appalachian State is not scared to come into big Power 5 conference stadiums and pull an upset. Miami's full attention has to be on Appalachian State. Not partial attention, full attention. Their team has to come out and say, hey, put a statement out here saying that, yeah, we didn't show up for the Alabama game. Most teams are not going to probably show up for Alabama. Alabama is that great team, is that good team out of the SEC. So, I mean, these numbers for Miami, like I said, these numbers from Miami is kind of screwed because they did play against Alabama. So you got to understand this. The numbers are screwed here on this side on the side of the column here. That that Miami is kind of screwed here on their stuff. So that's not really a good tell of a tape for them. But we're going to see what Miami's offense. If you look on the paper, they outmatch Appalachian State big time. Outmatch them big time. But Appalachian State's got what we call heart of a team. If they come in here and play with their hearts, and Miami's overlooking them, this is going to be another one of them, ESPN upset moments of the year kind of type of games. A number 24 ranked, number 22 ranked Miami goes down to a Sun Belt conference team in Appalachian State, like Michigan did, like North Carolina did, like all the other teams that they have upset it. So that's going to be the key. Can Miami's offense come up? And that's where we're going to take this next step. We're going to take a look here is, can Miami win the game? And we're going to go through these real quick because I got a lot of more games when we move on here. And I only got a few more minutes, about 45 minutes left here in this telecast here to get everything in. So we're going to go through these real quick here. Take the Alabama game. Ball is up in the air, throws it away. It's Alabama. You're supposed to lose 44-13, and all things considered, Derek King wasn't bad. He threw 2 picks as he and the offense had to press, but when he was able to hit the mid-range passes and look just fine after his knee injury. Also lost in the blowout was the D-line. Did a decent job, but is going into the backfield for 10 tackles for loss. It helped its own against the running game of Alabama. Still, Miami is a good team. What's going to happen in this ball game? Miami is not going to tackle it in the secondary because it's Alabama, or it could not tackle because it's hard time tackling. Appalachian State doesn't care. The Mountaineers are going to run well. Nate Noel and Cameron Peoples each took off for 100 yards. So they have 2 running backs over 100 yards. That's what Miami's got to worry about. They got to stop that 2-headed monster of a rushing attack that Appalachian State has. That's what keeps them balanced attack. So they can pass the ball and they can run the ball. If they run effectively and pass effectively, this is going to give Miami another hard time on the defensive side. Chase Bryce had a massive problem with an interception at Duke, and he threw one last week. He will be under pressure from the Hurricanes defense. He'll throw a few picks. Turnover chain will come out, and that will be just enough for Miami to get out alive. You got to understand, Brace. Chase Bryce has a little bit of advantage because he knows what Miami defense is about. He played at Clemson. He played at Duke in the ACC, so he's got familiarity of what Miami brings to the table when he played it for Duke, and when he played, but they played that great game. Duke did in the music, and then they had all that scrimmage and stuff like that, and we don't know what went wrong with that. But anyway, we seen what happened in that. Duke back then was playing Miami tough. Chase Rice knows what Miami's defense is all about. Can he be effective and not turn the ball over? That's going to be the key. But if Miami defense causes him to turn the ball over, it's going to be a long day for Appalachian State, and that's going to be a thing. The very interesting thing, I think Miami is favored by 8 points, but most projections here is saying it's going to be a 3-point game. I think it's going to probably be more than that. I think it's going to probably be a 14-point game. I think it's going to be 34-20 and be my score here in this ball game. So I think Miami does cover. I think Miami does come out on top of this ball game. I think Miami rebounds from slacking them Alabama and puts it out tear up. I don't think they're looking to hit the Michigan State game. I think they're going to be focused on this game. They better be focused on this game. That's how I look at this breakdown of this ball game here. So we're going to move right along into this breakdown of this college football ASAP College Breakdown new football show. Like I said, the Rage Sports Show will be coming to you Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on Monday through Friday at those times on the All Sports All Play Network. Here we're going to probably talk it over with the Fox D, see if I can put it on the Fox D network. But right now we're going to be on All Sports All Play Network. It's going to be a 5-day show. It's going to be talking about basketball. It's going to be talking about NBA. It's going to be talking about NFL. We're going to have the NFL Monday. I'll pregame the Monday Night Football game for the All Sports All Play Network on that, and also on the Thursday we'll do the NFL All Play Sports on the Race Show. We'll do the breakdown of the NFL Thursday night game too, and then on the Football Frenzy, who's taking over for the Sports Corner, will be the post game show of all the Monday Night Football game and Thursday night football game on the All Sports All Play Network. It's a tongue twister. All right, I'm getting it through, So we're looking at, we looked at Miami here. We talked about that. I still got a few more games to break down. Who we're going to break down next here? Let's go ahead and break down the Syracuse and Rutgers game. This is the battle of the New York and New Jersey teams here. We're going to go ahead and break that game down for you here. I've got some tail of the tapes here. The Big Ten Rutgers versus the ACC matchup here. This is another big Power 5 teams matching up against everybody here. We got a tail of the tapes here. Tail of the tapes is brought to you by All Sports All Play College Breakdown Show and the All Sports All Play Network and the Fox D Network here. We're coming to you live from 9 to 11 just today only. We'll be back next weekend from 9 to 12. Leading you all the way into college kickoff. We are leading you into college kickoff because we have 2 kickoff games at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Will be the Illinois versus Virginia in Scott Stadium, and 11:30 kickoff time VMI versus Kent State game. So you have 2 games I'm leading you into. Really, we're not lying here on the All Sports All Play. I am leading you into college football kickoff. We have 2 games at 11 o'clock. So I have a family engagement. I'm coming to you. This is the brand new show. This is the All Sports All Play College Breakdown. We call it the ASAP College Breakdown, make it short. This is coming to you on All Sports All Play Network and the Fox D Network. We are coming to you live from Jacksonville, Florida here on this breakdown show. And we got some good games here. We already broke down a lot of games already. We're going to break down the Big Ten ACC matchup here. Rutgers is coming in at 1-0. Syracuse is coming in at 1-0. Tail of the tapes, we're looking at, you see the tail of the tapes here. I'm not going to really read it to you here. Rutgers beat Temple 61-14. Syracuse is coming off a beatdown of Ohio 29-9. So if you look at the breakdown here, it's pretty much similar breakdowns, a little bit better defensive breakdown of Rutgers. What's going to happen? This game will come to you live at 2 Eastern Time at the Curia Dome in Syracuse, New York. This game will be on the ACC network. And let's get to how will Rutgers beat this Syracuse team out of the ACC. That's going to be the good question. Rutgers defense wants to take the ball away. That's going to be the key. That's what Greg Shinano does for you. He comes back to Rutgers. He's been in the NFL. He's been at, it was at Alabama one year. He's coming back to Rutgers. He's trying to get Rutgers revitalized what he had him at before he left to go to the NFL. Can he bring Rutgers back to that promised land that he had him there fighting? That's why Rutgers went into the Big Ten, because they had having great years on it. Greg. What is a necessary part of the puzzle of the team that might be improved, but is still missing some high-end talent to hang toe-to-toe with stronger teams coming out up and on the slate. The Scarlet Knights ran for 220 yards and 6 touchdowns in the 61-14 win over Temple. Quarterback Noel Verdell led the team in rushing and had a decent day throwing the ball. The O-line didn't allow a sack. The D-line came up with a ton of big plays behind the line and 5 takeaways and a +5 margin turnover ratio. That's what Rutgers does defensively does to you. Overall, it appears it wasn't a perfect performance, but it was awfully close. Now it's time to get against Syracuse, a team with a still suspected offensive line. That's going to be the key. Can they turn over the Syracuse team? Can they put pressure on the quarterback to force these turnovers? That's what they want to do. That's what Rutgers wants you to do. Wants you to turn the ball over. They turn the turnovers into points. That's going to be a +5 margin here coming in this game. Can they do the same thing they did against Temple? Turn them over. That's going to be the good question here. There's a Big Ten ACC matchup. There's 2 Power 5 teams going at it. 2 lower tier Power 5 teams out of their conference. What can Syracuse do to pull off the win? Give the Orange a little credit. They were underdogs in some places against Ohio, and they went on the road and won 29-9 with one of the better defensive performances the program has enjoyed in a while. Best of all, the O-line worked. No one is thinking this group is special quite yet, but Syracuse front 5 has allowed quarterback Tommy DeVito to get hammered over the last few years. Ohio generated just 1 sack, partly because Orangemen spent much time blasting away from Sean Tucker around attack that came up close to hitting 300 yards. Syracuse has to keep this simple. Run, don't let Rutgers take away, and feed off this repeat. That's what they're going to do. They're going to feed off that repeat performance against Ohio. What's going to happen in this game is going to be a huge game for both teams. Syracuse can pull off one of his most surprising performances in the years, but Rutgers obliterated Temple team that was still supposed to be a lot stronger than it's been in a few years. Both running games will work, but Rutgers will be more disruptive, and most places are predicting Rutgers to win on these takeaways here. Rutgers favored by 2 points, but I'm predicting this is going to be a Rutgers victory, 33-23, because I think Syracuse is going to turn the ball over maybe 3 or 4 times, and those 3 or 4 times are going to turn it into 21 points for Rutgers. So that's why I give a big disparity here of 33-23 is the final score in this ball game. So that's the kind of things I'm talking about right now. And in these spreads, you seem to tell the tape. I left it up there for a little while so you can read off the teletape while I'm explaining it to you on this ball game. This is the key of Big Ten ACC matchup. I think Rutgers is going to turn Syracuse over. I think that's going to be the key of this ball game. I think Rutgers is going to score at least 3 turnovers, at least 21 out of the 21 points off these 3 turnovers. So I think that's what's going to happen in this ball game. That's why I give it a big spread scoring. Rutgers is only favored by 2 points in this contest, but I think it's going to be 33-23 in this ball game. I think Rutgers is going to turn them over. So if you look at that situation there. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead. We already talked about one ranked team in Auburn. We talked about a lot of other teams like Illinois and Virginia. The We just got finished talking to the Rutgers and Syracuse game. Hey, let's go back to the ACC and SEC matchup. You think it all you want to here. We're gonna go here. This is gonna be an interesting take here on this game. I'm gonna bring up the tail of the tapes here. We have the SEC versus the SEC. We have North Carolina State University, who taking off the 1-0 Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Wolfpack comes in this ball game over 524 yards total yards to the Bulldogs, who's 436 yards. So there's a little bit combined here. The mistake has 232. NC State's been balanced from running and passing. 232 passing, 293 in rush. One-sided right now, Michigan State, 371 yards passing to 65 yards rushing. Wolfpack has scored 45 points to 35. Mississippi's offense has only scored 35 points. North Carolina State defense has not allowed a score. They have given up 271 yards, 167 and 104. But got to understand this: North Carolina State didn't play a Power 5 team in Week 1. They played South Florida, which is a high school team, proposing as a college team here in the state of Florida. Down in Tampa. That's where they're located at. They're located in Tampa. They played at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa. So if you look at it this way here, North Carolina State 45 is South Florida 0. Louisiana Tech last week is that a pretty mid-major team. They scored 34 points. And Mississippi State barely beat them 35-4. So what do I look at this game here? You gotta look at the tail of the tape for this this game here for the Wolfpack in Mississippi. This game will be televised at 7 p.m. Eastern time. This game is coming from Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi, on ESPN2. So this is a game at 7 o'clock. That's going to be some high-end people going to come in. It's an ACC, SEC matchup. It's North Carolina State Wolfpack and Mississippi State Bulldogs. What would the Wolfpack have to do? Wolfpack looked fantastic, but they played against South Florida. That's why they look fantastic. We don't know how really good this Wolfpack defense is really going to be going up against a talent that's almost about the same level as they are, because they're both Power 5 teams that both recruit well and at level. So they come in with some high-profile recruits and some high-powerful things. So this is going to be a much defined thing. The Wolfpack has Devin Larry, who is close to 300 yards blasting. He threw a pick, but otherwise was a terrific in the O-line dominance because they played South Florida. Let me put a key to this. All the Wolfpack fans, I have a lot of Wolfpack fans I know, has come out and said, oh, we dominant, we're back, blah, blah, blah. But you got to understand the level of competition that you played. You played South Florida, which is considered down here in Florida as a high school level college team. That's their equivalent. Let's say equivalent this to you. There's their equivalent as their Duke football team in the ACC, which is called a high school team looking like a college team. That's the equivalent of South Florida. It's the same equivalent to Duke in the ACC. We consider Duke as a high school level fake college team, basically. That's what that is. Duke has some few good years. We give credit where it's credit due. Duke has some good few years. So did South Florida under Strong and Taggart. But now South Florida is known as a high school level college team. That's what they consider here in Florida. So is North Carolina State playing with fool's gold because what they played against, that. So we're gonna see how this team is really going to break down here for this. I think the Wolfpack's going to allow scores. Yes. How would a defense react when they give up their first score? Got a same situation for Virginia's now reversed to NC State. How would that defense play once they give up that first score? That's going to be the key here. That's going to be the key for North Carolina State University. Is if the defense does not give any points, that's great because then they keep that same momentum going and stuff like that. But once they give up that first score, will the defense start sinking again and start thinking, hey, we just gave up our first score, or will you just overbeat it and keep going? So, unlike Louisiana Tech, North Carolina State will be able to run the ball. They do have a two-headed monster in Knight for NC State, but the offense did work when it absolutely had to. Any week one win you can walk away from is a good one. It wasn't pretty. It took some special, but the offense got the job done. With Will Rogers finding his passing groove, it wasn't exactly the way Mike Lynch offense is supposed to work. But again, it got the job done despite a whole lot of mistakes and stopped the errors and look out. However, North Carolina State likes to force turnovers. North Carolina State's defense likes to do pass rush. They're aggressive. Mike Lynch's offense is a run and shoot style offense. This is his first year in Starkville. A second year in Starkville, can he produce what he needs to produce like he did at Washington State? High octane offense with lackluster defense. That's Mike Lynch's game. If he has no defense, his offense is a run and shoot, trying to outscore you type offense. And they got to have a little bit of defense because they got to slow down NC State. If NC State gets that running game going, Larry's going to pick you apart. But what Mississippi State has to do on defense is to blitz. Put pressure on O'Leary. Put pressure on him. Make him make mistakes. You cannot let O'Leary sit behind the offensive line and pick you apart because he can do that. He's a good quarterback. And he can pick your defense apart if he gets time. That's got to be the question for NC State. Can he give him time? A question for Mississippi State, can he put pressure on him and force him to make mistakes? For Mississippi State to win this game, O'Leary needs to have at least 2 turnovers, and Mississippi State's offense needs to turn those 2 turnovers into 14 points to have a chance in this ball game. North Carolina State is a high-flying under the radar nationally, but consider how mediocre North Carolina looked in week 1. This might be the second best team in the ACC, but I'm not giving that right now because I don't know how they look because they played that South Florida team. And I live in Florida, and I know what South Florida is all about. I know how South Florida has been accumulated to a Duke University that is a lackluster high school team down here in South Florida. They are not a level of a Power 5 team as Mississippi State and the SEC. If the SEC is the true conference like most SEC fans has put in the thing, we're a way better league than the ACC. Mississippi State has to beat NC State to make the SEC a relevant thing. If NC State wins, then this could be a showing that the ACC is probably about on the same level, except with the Alabama. I'm not going to I'm over here yet. Alabama looked great, against Miami. So they're 1-0 against the ACC. But how will the other teams in the SEC effectively be up with the ACC if we look at it? If we look at Pitt beating Tennessee and NC State beating Mississippi State, then the ACC is going to be 2-1 against the SEC, only with the one win coming from a dominant team of Alabama. So, I mean, how you can fail this? I mean, the ACC is going to be 2-1 against SEC if they come out with these 2 victories today. So, I mean, that's going to be a little lackluster on the conference face because, yes, they're going to go back and say Alabama won that one game. We know Alabama's a dominant defense, a dominant team. We know that. But you talk about the SEC being an elite conference. An elite conference will beat every other conference teams point blank if they're that elite conference. But if the ACC gets these 2 wins, ACC comes out 2-1 against SEC, in head-to-head matchups. How are you going to propel? Because all you're going to say is Alabama beat one ACC team. But we have 2 teams that have proven to beat SEC teams that you said the SEC conference is way dominant than the ACC. So that's going to be the key right there for NC State. What is the prediction here? NC State is favored by 2.5. They're a 2.5 favorite here. I think 3 things got to happen in this game. 3 things got to happen in this game. They have to for Mississippi State to win. 3 things got to happen. They got to shut the running game down for NC State. They got to put pressure on Larry. You got to make Larry turn it over and score at least 14 points on the defense. Okay. If Mississippi don't do that, if NC State don't turn the ball over, pass the ball effectively, keep O'Leary upright, and run the ball, NC State's going to win. So I'm going to go out and say NC State 34. I'd say Mississippi State 24 in Starkville. So I think NC State is a little bit stronger on the defensive side. But like I said, they haven't played anybody. But O'Leary's that good quarterback if you don't get no pressure on him. And if the offensive line stays dominant like they did against South Florida, it's going to be a tough game for Mississippi State. I think NC State has got a little bit of better talent on the defensive side. I think they have a better running back core. So, like I said, 3 things got to happen for Mississippi State to win. They got to have sacks, you got to force O'Leary to throw some interceptions, and they got to have 14 points off turnovers for them to win. But I don't see that happening. I see NC State playing for Dorson's job, head coach. I think they're going to play for his job. I think they're going to go in here, and I think they're taking this game seriously. I don't think they're looking for their next opponent. This is the time for the ACC step up to beat the SEC. And if they can come out with 2 victories today, they'd be leading the conference series 2-1. So that's what I think about that game there. Let's move right along here. Let's move right along here in our breakdowns. Let's go to I got a lot of top 5 conference here. A lot of ranked teams here to play. Let's go here. I'm going to go here. Let's move to the Oregon and Ohio State game here. I'm going to get to the 2 ranked teams, and if we have more time, I got 2 more teams that's playing ranked teams. But let's talk about the ranked teams here. I already got the matchup today in this week up here. Let's go to this lineup here. We're looking at the Oregon, number 12 Oregon will go 1-0 coming into Ohio State, number 3 Ohio State at 1-0. Tail of the tapes is pretty much even a little bit on the tail of the tapes. 358 for Oregon, 495 for Ohio State. This is the Pac-12 versus the Big Ten conference, Power 5 conference battle here today. Ohio State comes in with scoring 45 points to 31 points. The breakdown, passing 172, 186 rushing for Oregon, to 294 to 201 for Ohio State. Defense breakdown is pretty much even, 373 to 408. Oregon has 373. Bring me up on the screen here. They have 373 to 298 to 205 to 75 to 203. Points, 24 given up points by the defense. 31 points given up by Ohio State. Oregon, number 11 Oregon at the time, defeated Fresno State 31-24. Number 4 Ohio State defeated Minnesota in a Big Ten battle 45-31. Minnesota was winning the game all the way to the mid third quarter before Ohio State got their offensive octane going. So that's going to be the key there. So let's go look here. Want to become famous? Follow whatever. These comments are none of these are just sorry comments. They're spamming comments. Really, that's what I call them. I don't even know what. Anyway, we look at it this way here. Can Oregon? What they're saying about this game here for Oregon in Ohio State? How can this ball game is going to be telecast at 12 Eastern time at the venue is at the Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. Fox Network is carrying this ball game. This is a prime sample of a number 12 versus number 3 matchup. There is talent there. Star pass rusher Kevon Therapeutics might be hurting, but the rest of the Oregon starting 22 has ability to pull off this. Recruiting ranking might be overblown, but Oregon has been in the mix for elite talents for a few years. The running game didn't work well a few against Fresno State, and that offensive hold took way too long to get going. But there is a terrific that includes quarterback Anthony Brown, who might not be up there with C.J. Strutt or Spencer Rattler or Bryce Young. talent-wise, but he's got more than enough experience to handle a game like this. More than anything else, when it comes to playing Ohio State, Oregon has the team speed. Minnesota had the will and the thump, but it didn't have enough flash. Oregon can fly even without therapeutics, and it has the best rush to that Minnesota didn't bother to strut. So that's going to be the key. Can Oregon get that pass rushing going? If Oregon get the speed and pass rushing going, and Strut could be in it for a long day. But that's going to be the key. But the Ohio State Buckeyes are playing at home in the confines of Ohio Stadium, crowd's going to be electric. And we know how the crowds are electric this year. That has really hurt ranked teams. And, you know, one of the best interests in college football is the Sandman interest at Lane Stadium. That crowd was terrific. It bothered North Carolina State. North Carolina couldn't hear the signals down the field. That's how a visiting team has problem against a loud crowd. And this is going to be another loud crowd. You know, it struggled. It might be generated a good push early against Minnesota, but it allowed a grand total of tackles lost and set no sacks, and it did enough to give Strut 19 minutes to let Olive and Wilson get open for back-breaking plays. The Oregon pass rush will work. It'll get into the backfield enough to be a problem, but it will neutralize as well as a reasonable possibility this kicks in with the grand. New year, different teams, sharper focus, but 2021 Fiesta Bowl, Iowa State pounded out 228 yards on the control game to win over the Ducks. What's going to happen in this ball game against Oregon is more than good enough to pull this off. There will be a moment when it's good, looks good. It might not have the right mix and speed to beat the Buckeyes, but the long game will be a problem. The Ducks will be up early. They'll have their chances in the third quarter, but Ohio State will pound away with a mix of backs. Struts, after misfiring two big throws in itself in the first half, will settle in, hit the home stride. Bucks, they're predicting they're talking about the Bucks, how they can win this game. Is going to win. Ohio State is a 14-point favorite in this game. I think this game is going to be a little closer than 14 points. So I'll bet the under on this one. Under the point spread, I think Ohio State wins 34-24. I think it'll be a 10-point victory in this ball game. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the tail of the tape in this ball game here. So let's go ahead and get to the other. Let's get to the other ranked teams here today. This is the comments of battling the Iowa teams here. Game here. We're gonna look at here. We're looking at the Big 10 versus the Big 12 conference here game. So let's go ahead. Bring up the full screen of the tail of the tapes right now. We're looking at the tail of the tapes. It's very evenly here. Number 9, Iowa State, 1-0 coming. Number 10, Iowa, 1-0 coming into number 9, Iowa State, home turf in Iowa. We know what the Iowa did at home. Can they do it? Can they produce again on the road against their home rivalry team in the state of Iowa, even though they play in a different conference? That's what you got to look at here on this. Offense is pretty even. 145, 158, 199, 136. For Iowa State, Iowa was 145, 158 at 303 total yards. Iowa State is 335, 199, 136. Iowa produced 34 points offensively. Iowa State only produced 16 points offensively. The defensive number is 233 for Iowa, 275, pretty close. The breakdown of that 233, 156 passing and 77 yards rushing for Iowa's defense, giving up. 230 for Iowa State passing, giving up, and 45 yards for rushing, giving up. Number 18, Iowa thump number 17, Indiana 31-6. And number 7, Iowa State at the time defeated Northern Iowa 16-10. This is the second team they play in Iowa. Can Iowa State defeat win the state of Iowa and in college football this year? Who's going to be that dominant team? Let's break the tail here. This game will be played at 4:30 Eastern Time at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames, Iowa. ABC is carrying this game. Iowa State is coming in 1-0 versus 1-0 game. How will Iowa win this game? Well, that's how you start a season. Iowa had a dangerous Big Ten game against a hot and higher-ranked Indiana program. It was over from the jump. Iowa Hawkeyes defense swarmed all over the Hoosiers running game, picked off Michael Penix Jr. 3 times and allowed a mere two field goals on the other side. Tyler Goodson ripped off a big score run right away, and 2 turnovers didn't make a difference. It was a shockingly dominated win, and for Iowa State, that's not how you start the season. It's got a 16-10 win over Northern Iowa, but the offense stalled in the third down management, just 1 second half field goal, and there's your concern. The Cyclones did just about everything okay, was plus in the turnover margin, was decent running game, ball effectively through the air, and still took everything in the bag and get it with. So what you going to look here? Don't overrate to the UNI game. Iowa State stumbled out of the gates last season against Louisiana and turned it out just fine. Brock Pruitt hit 21 out of 26 passes, weren't any turnovers, and was given credit to inspired efforts from the Panthers. It's not the light of the Cyclones turned it loose. The defense was fantastic after allowing an early touchdown drive, and it was at week 1 really to survive and advance. And as the Iowa was fantastic against Indiana, but the passing game question still wasn't answered. Spencer Perrier was awful, but he only completed 13 out of 27 passes for 145 yards. And the one area that did click last year, it didn't show up on Saturday. The downfield plays were there. On the ground, Goodson ripped off that one early run, and that was about it. It was a bit of a grind, but to be fair, the game was over by halftime. What's going to happen in this game? It's a lot of breakdowns in this ball game here. What defense is going to come and show? Will it be the defense of Iowa against Indiana to swam to the ball and made Indiana's running game done? If they do that against Iowa State, they're going to pull this victory out big, and there's going to be no question Iowa State is stumbling. The whole rivalry game is usually overblown. Most of the time it is the reason artificially pumped up, otherwise non-scripted meeting. When it really matters, the rivalry side takes things to the other level. The battle of the CY Hawk Trophy isn't mean in creepily way like most rivalries are, but it sure is intense now that Iowa State has a team that is legitimately good enough to pull this big upset, pull a big turnaround here in this game. Both teams have the big plays ahead, and it would take a whole lot of luck. But, yeah, really the winner of this is reasonably dreamed that it might fall into place for a possible college playoff shot. That's 97 steps down the road. Iowa has won 5 in a row, and 6 of the last 7, thanks mostly to its defense. One is 44-41 win of 2017 aside, and that was going to pull it through again. Be shocked if this is anything sort of a shootout. Iowa's downfield passing game wouldn't work. Bryce Hall and Iowa State's running game will struggle. It will be a tough fight come down to the key late of the game. So this could be another classified as a Georgia Clemson game. It'd be a defense. Hawkeye defense is a little bit better than Iowa State defense. Iowa's coming in a 4-point favorite, but I think Iowa does win. I think it's going to be under 4. I think Iowa wins 20-17 because it's a rivalry game. That's my opinion on this ball game here. So show the tail of the tapes one more time. There's the tail of the tape one more time there. I'll bring me back up on the screen here. So, that's what we look at right now here in these games. We have over 71 games here today. Let me see here if I can get the schedule up here real quick, and I'll run down some of the other games that is going to be played here today. It's going to be over 71 games here. I got less than 2 minutes here, less than 3 minutes here left on the show. I'm going to run down here some of the scheduled games here today. Break it down here for a little bit big here for you. We already talked about Illinois and Virginia. We talked about Western Kentucky and Army. We talked about VMI and Kent State. That's all your early games, 11, 11:30, and 11. Yeah, it's 3 games at 11 o'clock. I'm taking you to the 11 o'clock kickoff time. I won't be here for the 12 o'clock hour. I have a family engagement, so the show is only for 2 hours today from 9 to 11. We had pretty good content. We have a lot of stuff we had to talk about. We got through this very well for the 2 hour show that we had. We talked about a lot of key matchups, the SEC versus the big ACC, and we had the Big Ten ACC. We had the Big 12, Big 10. We had the Pac-10, Pac-12, and the Big 10 showdown. And Iowa and number 12, Oregon versus number 3, Ohio State. Alabama State goes into number 25, Auburn. These are 12 o'clock games. South Carolina at East Carolina. Pittsburgh at Tennessee. We talked about them. Kennesaw State versus Georgia Tech. Norfolk State versus Wake Forest. Youngstown State versus Michigan State at 12. Miami, Ohio, Minnesota, Indiana State, Northwestern. Tulsa versus Oklahoma State. Number 13, Florida goes into play South Florida. Morgan State versus Tulane. Wyoming. These are 1 o'clock games is Florida, South Florida. Morgan State and Tulane. This is a 1:30 game. Wyoming at Northern Illinois. 2 o'clock games are Middle Tennessee versus number 19, Virginia Tech. Rutgers versus Syracuse. Duquesne versus Ohio. 2:30 game will be Toledo at number 8, Notre Dame. These games are at 3 o'clock. It's Purdue at UConn. Robert Morris at Central Michigan. These games are at 3:30. UAB at Georgia. Number 2, Georgia. Number 5, Texas A&M at Colorado. Murray State at number 7, Cincinnati. Ball State at number 11, Penn State. Georgia Southern at Florida Atlantic. Boston College at UMass. Buffalo at Nebraska. California at TCU. Temple at Akron. Air Force at Navy. So the Commanders and Chiefs Cup. That's going to be the battle for the Commanders and Chiefs Cup standings. The winner of this game will take it to the Army game to decide the cup. So that's going to be a good barometer if Navy can pull it off. They'll be in the hands front of the Commanders and Chiefs Cup. These games are at 4 o'clock. Mercer at number 1, Alabama. South Alabama at Bowling Green. This game is at 4:30. Number 10, Iowa. Number 9, Iowa State. We talked about that. South Carolina State at Clemson. These are 5 o'clock games. Long Island University at West Virginia. So, and then we keep continuing on. So we talked about most of these games. There's over 71 games today. If you want a complete NBA schedule. So thank you. This is Ray Cruz signing off from the ASAP College Breakdown Show. Is the new show. It is placed in the Ray Sports Show. Remember, the Ray Sports Show is moving 5 days a week at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, and 1 p.m. Pacific Time. It's a 5-day show. It's going to be talking about NBA, NFL. We're going to have some college football. We're going to have some college, other stuff in college. We're going to have try to get some interviews with some people on here. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me. Have fun. Don't forget, college football is back. Second week of college football. And it starts now.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.